Well, we're at the juncture of the program, which we like to get up close and personal with some of the artists making the music. And today we're going to cross over to Canada and hook up with a gentleman who's got just a brand new album that we've been playing here on the Irish Connection called Gimme Tonight. And that is the gentleman waiting to talk to us, Chris Cummings. Chris, you're welcome along to the Irish Connection radio show.
Thanks very much, Sean. I appreciate it. It's good to be here today.
And as I said before, you're originally from Norton, New Brunswick. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a tiny little town. It's the closest city to it, St. John, which some of your listeners might have heard of. But Norton's about 2,000 people.
Now tell us a little bit about the history of Chris Cummings. I mean, like we all know that, as I said before, you got your current album called Gimme Tonight out. Now tell us a little bit about the history. I mean, how was it that you decided you wanted to get into the music business? Because, I mean, apparently you've been performing since the young age of 5, haven't you?
Yeah, I did a lot of local stuff when I was a kid, between the ages of 5 and 15, and then I made a demo tape back here at around that time, and Warner Brothers Nashville signed me when I was 16 years old. So it wasn't a full-blown deal. I went down, and it was kind of like a minor league sports contract where they put me in the studio and would see what would come out of it. But about 4 years after that, I put out my first disc in the States and Canada, and had much more success in Canada than I did in the States. In the States, we only charted a couple of times.
Because, of course, you did have a #1 song in Canada, The Kind of Heart That Breaks, which did do the big business and went straight to #1 for you, didn't it?
Sure did, yeah. We've been really lucky over the years. Over the years, I've had 9 top 10s, with 2 of them going all the way to #1. So it's been a nice little career here in Canada.
And of course, as well as singing, you play guitar, banjo, and drums.
Yeah. I play guitar mainly. Banjo and drums are kind of secondary things. I only mess around with them. I probably wouldn't get on stage and show anybody what I can do on that. But guitar is, the main.
Your main instrument.
Writing.
I mean, what was it that made you take up the guitar? Was it because you knew that it had a bigger pulling with the fans? Because obviously, with the guitar player, everybody looks at him as opposed to the drummer who sits at the back, and as opposed to the banjo player who's very rarely seen in every band.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's guitar is kind of the standby instrument in country music. And my dad played guitar when I was a little kid, so I started learning when I was about 8 or 9, based on the fact that he was playing it around the house. But it's probably my favorite to write on. I write a little bit on piano here and there too, but guitar is the main thing.
And talking of your writing, how was it that the songwriting thing came about for you?
I started songwriting when I was about 14, and actually somebody kind of pushed me into it. I was doing a demo back here, which got played on a few stations in Eastern Canada, and they said they wanted original material. And at that time, you don't have access really to original material. You don't have access to publishing houses and stuff like that when you're doing it on that level. So I just started pounding out some songs and seeing what happened. And I think I wrote like 10 or 12 songs when I was that age, and 2 or 3 of them actually made the radio back here, so it was pretty cool.
Now, on your new album, you've got a song called Welcome Back, which is a John Sebastian song, but there's a story behind that song, because that, as well as being the song that you recorded, also helped you to be crowned as something else, didn't it?
Yeah, we did that with the city of St. John. They were trying to attract workers back here who had left the area, so they were having kind of a population problem where they had too many projects coming in and not enough workers. And so Welcome Back kind of fit with the theme song that the message they wanted to put out there. So we did that and did it for the city, and I was very surprised that they named me ambassador for the province of New Brunswick based on that, which was really cool. It was a fun project. I always liked that song anyway, so I was glad to get a chance to do it.
Being the ambassador of New Brunswick, I mean, what does that mean that you have to do? What sort of jobs does it, mean that it goes with that particular job? What's it go, with that particular title? What sort of jobs go with that?
Basically, it's promoting. For me, it's ambassador, I guess, of music or whatever. So it's basically promoting the province and trying to attract projects here for video and for recording, and trying to put the word out there that it's a good place kind of center your music from. And also, you end up going to some conventions and meeting some people who are coming into the area, and they've been using the video for Welcome Back at a lot of those conventions. So far it hasn't been that much. It's more of a title than anything else, but I'm happy to have it anyway.
Yeah, because of course, like with Canada, I mean, from what we see from this side of the world, I mean, like it's a current buzz with great country stars coming out of it. I mean, you've got Shane Yellowbird doing it. You've got J.D. Bixby doing it. I mean, you've got the Roys, who are currently absolutely exploding all over the place. The Higginses are doing well. And Hey Romeo, to name just a few of them, that are all really, coming to the fore of country music at the moment and helping to push Canada from being sort of like behind Nashville to up equal to Nashville now.
I totally agree with that. I think Canada has become, if I'm not speaking out of turn, I believe it's the second largest country music market in the world. And, as far as recording goes, I recorded my first 2 albums in Nashville, and I was living down there at the time. But on the last 2 albums that I've done, I pretty much did everything within Canada, and I've been as happy with the results. And to be honest, I mean, those first 2 albums cost way more than the second 2 albums. So
what was it like? I mean, like, because obviously you were born in Canada, then you went and moved down to Nashville to live down there. I mean, how did you find it living down there? Because, I mean, it's a buzzing, thriving place, Nashville. It's not everybody's cup of tea, because obviously it's to do with music. If you're not involved in music, then you sort of like feel like an outsider. But, I mean, how did it feel to you, a guy coming from Canada into such a place that was sort of thriving with country music, had such a big name in that?
I enjoyed the music community. I really enjoyed the fact that there were so many great writers in town and so many great musicians. But as far as the city went, I come from a much smaller place than that. So the day-to-day traffic and wear and tear kind of got to me after a while. And I knew I wanted to move back to Canada after about 3 or 4 years there. So these days I'll just make trips there and do my writing sessions and come back to the East Coast and kind of have a quieter life.
Do you find that when you're writing the songs, do you find they come easy? Do you find you have to work at that particular part of your career? Or are you one of these guys that can be walking around and get the idea of a song just like, off the top of your head?
I've always found the best ones come either really easy or really hard. It's, the best charting songs of my career have either been written in like an hour or they've taken a year. It's kind of, if they take a couple of days, I don't think they're going to be as good. But I get ideas from everywhere. You kind of observe your friends and family and things they're going through, and get a lot of titles from reading books. You'll find a turn of a phrase somewhere that hasn't been written into a song, and you think that's a good song title, and try and build a story around that. I always describe them as little 3 or 4 minute novels.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, what do you think makes a good country song? Do you reckon it all being done within the 3-4 minute sphere? Do you reckon that's what makes a good country song for radio nowadays?
It kind of does, yeah. You get up over 4 minutes and you start to find that a lot of stations,
cut it, don't they, really, yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of have to limit yourself in that way. It's a 3 to 4 minute genre. But they're story songs. That's to me the biggest difference between country music and other genres is it's a very centered story, and everything's built around the chorus. And I learned from guys like Don Schlitz, who wrote The Gambler and Forever and Ever Amen, and I got a chance to write about 40 songs with Don, and really took from him that, in country music you want it to be centered, and you want the song to have some hope. Those are the 2 things that are pretty common.
Now, let's just talk about a couple of the songs on the album. First of all, the title band, Give Me Tonight. I mean, how did that come about? How did you decide on that to be the title of the album?
Give Me Tonight's probably the newest song on the record. I wrote that just about a little over a year ago. And I had been listening to a lot of Bryan Adams, another Canadian artist at the time, and I wanted to do something that was kind of 80s rock-driven, but still built for country radio. And so we finished that one off, and we were just going through the titles on the record, and we thought that Give Me Tonight was probably the best-sounding album title at the time. It's the next single, by the way. It's going to be coming at you guys in about 3 or 4 weeks. We'll be putting out the next single. We're lucky enough to get top 25 with Leaving's Not an Option, which was the other single off the record.
And I mean, another track on the album, which I like, Till I See You Smile.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that one has been around for a few years. We decided to put it on this album. It's probably going to be the fourth single, and that's one that I wrote while I was still living in Nashville, and I just never really did anything with. So we're hoping that one's going to get a chance to be at radio probably in about 6 months.
And what do you do, Chris, when you're not performing and you're not writing songs? I mean, how do you like to relax?
I'm a avid comic book collector, so on a lot of days off and stuff like that, I'll make little trips to different towns and raid the comic book stores and see what I can find. Still a big movie buff. Kind of an indoor guy in the winter. I don't know how your winters are in Ireland, but
nowhere near as bad as yours, my brother. Nowhere near as bad. We have one bit of snow and we think the whole world's going to stop.
We've got about 4 feet on the ground right now, so that'll give you some idea of what's going on.
Well, listen,
but through the winter, I'm pretty much an indoor cat because I'm not into skiing or skating that much. But through the summer, there's like golf, and we'll get out and play some golf and just kind of make little trips around to different communities around the province and see what they have to offer.
Right. Well, Chris, thank you so much indeed for stopping by and being one of our guests here on the Irish Connection Radio Show. It's been a joy to hook up with you, and thank you for sending me the album, and I'm enjoying the music that's coming out of the speakers as I listen to it.
Thank you so much for playing the records. We really appreciate getting some attention for country music in a country like Ireland. That's really great, so thank you.
Well, listen, keep in touch, and if there's anything we can do for you over here via my shows, please don't hesitate to drop us a line, or if you want to come back on again, which we hope you will do, stop on by again. We'll have another talk later on down the line.
Thanks so much, Sean. I really appreciate it.
Okay, and I appreciate you taking the time out to do the interview. Thanks a million, Chris. Have a great day.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Take care, and you. Thanks a million. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.